All right, ladies and gents, happy Memorial Day. Click the thumbs up button if you don't mind. Just a quick announcement on what today's schedule is going to be. We got a major, huge baseball. We got a big baseball slate during the day today. We're going to one video it for everybody. There will be a write-up done by Professor Bellman over there. As far as NBA goes, going to pop out an NBA video after this as well. There will be an NBA write-up. Obviously, it'll be short because there's only 2 games. No night baseball. It's a late starting 3-game slate. It's a holiday. We don't have much in the way of lives, but we both got things going on today. So day baseball, yes. Basketball, yes. No night baseball.
We mentioned on Saturday, most of the time we'll cover the night main slate unless it's a special occasion. This is one of those days. You got more games, many more games in the afternoon. It's a holiday. So we're going to cover the main slate. I don't know if this has ever happened to me before, but we were talking for a few minutes before we got on air. And not sure why, but I thought we were on air. So the whole time we were talking, I thought we were on air. Now I realize we were not.
Oh, that'll happen. All right. So as far as pitching goes today, guys, for me, I got 3 main guys I'm interested in. And I'm assuming that we're going to agree on 2 of them. And then I'm assuming that one of them we won't agree on. I like Carlos Rodon, who has been nothing short of sensational. I like Corbin Burns, who I'm assuming will be chalky in kind of a bounce back spot after he did not have his good stuff the other day against one of the best matchups in baseball.
I know who that everybody like is.
Yeah, Rich Hill against the Yankees team that scored the same number of runs this year as the Baltimore Orioles and only 10 more runs than the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go to Rich Hill, but I understand.
I didn't think you would.
Yeah, I have more interest in some of the Yankees bats just because, yes, you're not wrong that that's how many runs they have, but it's still like, what, a 30, 40 game sample. And we know who these guys are, Stanton, Judge, et cetera, et cetera. Granted, they haven't been playing well. I think Burns is just a lock. I mean, I think there's no not playing Burns here. I mean, in my opinion, at least.
All right. Well, we saw Garrett Cole the other night not be great against the Detroit Tigers. It can happen. He still had a floor of, what would he have, 18, 19 points maybe?
He had 17.5, but I don't even care. So that doesn't even mean anything to me. Burns is
that just means that like he wasn't his best for me. I'm just saying like that wasn't his best. He still had 19 points or 18 points or whatever.
For me, it's like, I'm not as big of a Rodon fan as you are. I don't like Rich Hill. Like, besides the fact that I love Burns in this spot, it's also what's it called when you like take away that like the wrong answers. You subtract the
process of elimination.
Process of elimination. Thank you. Like Burns is just it for me. Like there is no one else. So if I'm making 5 lineups today, I'm probably having Burns in all 5, and I'll pick one other pitcher I can lean on. Which it does look like Rodon is that guy. It's hard to use both of them. And I hate that Rodon has already faced the Indians twice.
I'll say this about Corbin Burns, guys, since I watch almost every pitch he's thrown this year. He was not sharp the other day against San Diego. Only gave up 2 hits. All of his walks came around to score. San Diego is a substantially better team than the Detroit Tigers. I don't think it takes any genius to figure that one out. And San Diego put together a fantastic game plan against him. He still had 16 points. We saw that we brought it up the other day with your boy Bieber, who's, he just hasn't been as sharp this year as he was last year. I'm like, this is a great get right spot for him. What did he do? Cut up Detroit Tigers, easy peasy. It makes too much sense today. I'm sure Burns is going to be overwhelming chalk.
Yeah, and this is probably going to get you feeling a little bit good, but man, my favorite, like this whole slate, I love Milwaukee, offense and Burns. So, like,
okay. I got the Brewers as like my 4th stack, and I can definitely get on board with why you like them. I mean, they're in a good spot. The problem with Milwaukee is just, you've mentioned a few times this year, they're not that good. I kind of like them today as well, though, so they're in a good spot, so we can talk about it. The other guy, like, what were your thoughts on Caprillion? I know he just faced Seattle, and it's only been 3 starts, and I know we were talking about how he doesn't profile to be this good, but he's been really good to start his career.
Really, really good. This is definitely like kind of a wild card spot. I mean, not going to be shocked if at one of these, at some point soon, like any young pitcher, he has like kind of a blow up start. But on paper here, and a great matchup against the Mariners, yeah, he's definitely in play, like 100% in play here. I watched a lot of that game last time out. He was very, very good.
A guy we kind of just bypassed and went right over is Jose Barrios. I mean, I don't think he's out of play or anything like that. I just like the other guys around him a little bit more. I like the upside of Carlos Rodon, who has been sensational this year. I still struggle to buy it, but I said it the other day with Carlos Rodon. Like, I don't know that I can buy this. All he did is go out against a pretty good St. Louis baseball team and throw up another 30 spot. He's been phenomenal this year, and I'm still not buying it 100%, but at a certain point, you just have to look yourself in the mirror and be like, this guy has been awesome this year, and maybe he is that dude. Maybe it's a hot stretch. Either way, he just keeps shelling out.
Yeah, he does. He's absolutely balling. So he's got to be right up there with Burns as like the second best pitcher on the slate. I wasn't intrigued that Barrios has 20 plus in his last two because I thought he had been struggling.
Yeah, he's just not. I don't know, man. Like, I can understand why you'd play him, but I thought maybe he had really figured something out in the first start against Milwaukee because he was so sharp. They talked about him adding a new pitch this year. He's been really blah at best since then. I don't respect Baltimore, but I don't know. I like Burns and Rodon better.
I won't go to Berrios here. I'm with you there.
So I'll just talk about my boy Rich Hill really, really quickly. And for just the record, maybe if you happen to be catching the show on the same day, like there is nobody in baseball that you and I probably see differently than Rich Hill. So you kind of knew when you woke up this morning that we were going to feel a little bit differently about this one, which is okay. It's one of the fun reasons it's fun to talk about this stuff. I still have Hill as my third guy. I'm going to take Rodon and Burns over him. Yankees have been struggling. There's two ways to look at that, right? Like they struggle again today after being swept by the Detroit Tigers, which is borderline embarrassing. It's kind of a put up or shut up day. Or the red hot Rich Hill, who's barely been giving up runs lately, cuts up a struggling Yankees team today. I can see why there's two sides to this equation. I tend to lean to the other two pitchers before him, but it doesn't mean he's not in play.
Yeah, and I probably lean to other offenses before the Yankees, but I think they're in play. So, yeah, it's probably just a spot I stay away from, to be honest, but I get why you like him. Hill's been really good. The one cheap guy I am looking at is, man, and it feels bad, is Bundy.
Okay, I thought you were going to wonder about your boy Logan Gilbert, who, after having two terrible starts to start his career, pitched a lot better the other. Not great, but he pitched better. I didn't know if you'd be interested in him at all because he's only 5,100, or if you still needed to see more.
I think Oakland's definitely in play after just facing him, to be honest.
Fair enough. I'm not going to argue with you on that one. He was your little pet project when he came up, and he just wasn't good. So
it reminds me a lot of Casey Mize, like who has now looked a lot better, but a guy with a lot of pedigree that just might not be ready for the majors yet. And man, I don't know what to make of Bundy. I watched a lot of that Oakland start, and like they were just talking about how off he was, like velocity down a little bit. I don't know what the deal is. I mean, I don't know if that's like a consistent problem. I don't know if he's hurt or something, like why the Angels would like keep running him out there. I'm not sure what to make of Bundy.
I don't know either, but my other thought is like your San Francisco Giants, who are now in second place in their division, right, ahead of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Do you think they get attention today? Because if they don't get attention, because I think San Diego, without looking at any numbers, just guessing based on the weather and their prices against Cole Stewart, are going to be chalky. Do you think the Giants go under-owned today?
I don't think the Giants get a ton of love. No, I don't. And I can get on board with this is one. If Bundy pitches well, I could see him having a good game. But if he's off like he's been, the Giants could easily crush him.
Yeah, because the Giants there's no sexy names. They don't run a ton. They don't hit for huge power. They're very much like the St. Louis Cardinals in that sense, right? Like they're a good baseball team, but they're not the sexiest DFS play. But that doesn't mean they couldn't win the slate on this specific day. So I can see both sides of the equation on this one as well. I'm probably a little bit more interested in San Francisco only because I feel pretty comfortable that I can get bats with the two top pitchers.
I get that. It's a good way to put it. I get the San Francisco call. They're definitely like in play, as a secondary stack for me. And then Bundy's also like in play if I, want to spend down and like, I realize if I play him, like he could get you negative because he's done 2 out of the past 3.
3 in a row, actually.
Oh yeah. I didn't even see that was a -5, 3 in a row. Yeah.
So again, it could just be a bad run. He could be hurt. One of the, it's difficult. So we were just talking about NBA injuries before we got on here. And, Dylan Bundy may be hurt, but he just won't admit anything to the team. Athletes are prideful. That's a possibility. We don't know. Like, we can just make our best guesses.
For sure. On the other hand, like for me, I'm looking at this like 3 weeks ago, a month ago, Bundy was like in the 8K range and Rich Hill was 7K. Like what has changed so much? Maybe it has changed so much. Maybe it hasn't. I don't know. It's an interesting case for both those guys.
Yeah, Bundy's been so up and down through his career that any argument you make about him on any given day, I can listen to it. He hadn't been great to start the year, but he'd been substantially better than this.
Yeah, I mean, he had been solid to start the year. Solid, if not spectacular. He has not pitched solid recently.
He was really good last year. I mean, I know how quickly things can change, but he was excellent at times last season, dropping 20 pluses on the reg. I think he had a few 30 plus starts.
For sure.
So the other one that I was kind of wanted to at least talk over, because I saw the bats here were relatively cheap, was Velasquez has been really sharp this year, which, it's never been a lack of stuff with Velasquez. It's been, elevated pitch counts really, really quickly, injuries and stuff like that. I wouldn't throw him because I like the other pitchers better. But, man, I'm struggling to get to the Cincy bats who I like the pricing on.
Yeah, I think that they actually get more love than they should because of their pricing. My problem with the Cincy bats is they don't really have many good lefties. Winker, yeah, who's cheap, but aside from that, like, they got no one who bats left-handed. Who that's like Velasquez's, soft Achilles heel right there. So, yeah, I wouldn't pitch Velasquez either. But my Cincy bat love has gone down since I first popped open the slate.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just look at it and like, you know what? I don't think this goes on for a career, but I don't want to pick on Vince Velasquez right now, and that's okay. There's 18 other offenses, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so I think gun to head, if I'm making one lineup right now, I'm paying up on pitching. I got no issues making a lineup with these price tags. That's where I would go. If you think you were making one lineup today, would it be Burns, Rodon, or where would you be thinking? I know it's Burns.
It's definitely Burns. And then, man, Rodon is definitely the next best arm. It reminds me of Urias a couple days ago when, like, he was obviously the most highest upside arm, but Urias was awful. And
Yeah.
the same thing can happen with Rodon. I know that he's been more consistent than Urias, but it's the same type of worries I have. So that's why I'm less hesitant to lock him in. That said, like, I don't like any of the other options. So I'm
Where else you going, right?
I'm struggling with SP2. That's why I mentioned Bundy. Man, it's
Dylan or Ted?
I mean, if I could play Ted, I'd play him here. He might score.
Or Al.
Yeah, I would definitely play Al. Like, I don't even care what his salary would be. I would definitely play Al. And then I feel similarly about like Caprillion as I do Rodon, in the sense that, like, I actually feel way worse about Caprillion. Rodon has higher upside, and, like, I know Rodon's a better pitcher than Caprillion. So, yeah, man, I'm not exactly sure, but I don't mind starting with Rodon and Burns at all. I think you could do a lot worse.
Well, I use the keep it simple, stupid approach with Carlos Rodon right here, and that is that, one, Cleveland's not a good offense, right? I mean, neither one of us brag about our offenses of our teams being Brewers and Indians fans. So anytime you want to pick on either team, we can understand why that is. He's averaging 30 points this year. And I know the breakdown isn't that simple, but when you can't rely on any of the other pitchers or feel safe about him, and he's only 10K, I can go with a guy who's, this is kind of like, reminds me of Kevin Gausman in a way. I know that he's had bad years, but this year he is amazing. And Gausman was really good against yesterday.
Yeah, he was. Yes, he was. Yeah, I have no argument for that logic. Like, the only reason I wouldn't play him is more of a gut feel, and I can't really, like, describe that. You know what I mean?
For sure. All right, so let's kind of talk about where we're thinking about offenses for the day. Starting off in the Minnesota-Baltimore game, we got Barrios taking on Lopez. Lopez, again, I know a lot of people stacked against him the other day. He just faced this Minnesota team. He was awful to start the year. Since then, he's been okay. He's been a lot better. He's still not good or anything like that. I can understand Minnesota bats. I'm not lining up to get after him. Miguel Sano's got really big career numbers off of Lopez, but for all we know, that came basically in one game because it's not a huge sample size. If you want to take a shot for some upside, he's got big power.
I would get a lot of these guys in cash games, to be honest. They're coming in as chalky, like the chalkiest stack on the slate by a good amount. And I think it's because of the prices.
Okay, well, then I'm not, for me, totally in love with him then. Again, Cruz is a great hitter. He's not like hot right now or anything like that. He's 5K. I can move past him.
I think he had a good game yesterday. Kirilloff had a bunch of hits. Like, I get it. He walked. I thought he doubled the day before. Yeah, I mean, I get the love here. Like, Lopez is not good. Yeah, Kirilloff's way too cheap. Trevor Larnach's like 2,300. Yeah, I get why these guys are getting love. Pablo Lopez is not good in my eyes.
No, he's not. But he's better than he was to start the year because he started the year all-time terrible. And you almost have to be better and still be pitching. Like literally almost everybody's better in the world, including me and you.
What does that mean, though, that you don't want to
Like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to go here as my GPP stack if they're huge chalk.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think it's a little bit of a risky fade, though, because great ballpark on the road, Pablo Lopez. I'm not going to be surprised if they win the slate at all.
No, I wouldn't be surprised by it, but I don't feel great about him. Again, Cruz is, he's a great hitter, but he hasn't been great recently, so I'm not terrified of fading him. I realize it could blow up in my face. You got Kepler on the IL, Buxton on the IL. If I'm going to GPPs, there's a couple other offenses I'd rather go a little bit more contrarian with.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. So sweet.
Okay. Tampa against New York. We got Tyon against Hill. Like, I can understand picking on Tyon a little bit. Big problem here is, like, Tampa Bay is insane expensive, and I'm not that excited about picking on Jameson Tyon, who, again, hasn't had a great season. He's had some nice starts. I don't know how I can possibly afford Tampa bats. They are massively overpriced.
I could actually get on board with Tyon here, and I'm not a big Tyon fan, but I like him for 1,500 less than Rich Hill. That might be who I play at SB2. I forgot about him.
Okay, Tampa is a decent baseball team, but they strike out a ton. Like, when we talk about how legit Houston is so much better than anybody else at not striking out, Tampa Bay is now a full half K per nine worse than anybody else in the league. And that may not seem like a big number to a lot of people, but when you look at them in the next, Detroit, that's a pretty substantial difference. They are a high upside team when they're off for the day.
Yeah, they also had to throw a ton of their bullpen the past couple games, so I think he'll get a longer leash. Yeah, man, this might be my SB2, and he is a lot cheaper than Rodon, so that helps in that regard.
Yeah, he's a $3K cheaper. It's a substantial price difference. So, I can understand Tampa Bay bats, especially the lefties, but they are insanely expensive, and there's no way I get there.
Same. I mean, I think they'll be low owned because of that, but not where I'm going to go.
Okay, and look, I like Rich Hill a lot more than you, but the one guy I could get on board with, and I know he's been not good since coming off the IL, 6 strikeouts. That's 6 strikeouts in 2 games is not good, but we've seen Stanton do that before. He's very affordable for a guy of his upside magnitude.
Yeah, exactly. And then I, again, probably have more interest in the Yankees than you do because they still have a ton of power, and I expect Rich Hill to come back down to earth sooner rather than later, personally.
All right. Philly against Cincinnati, Velasquez against Wade Miley. Not much for me in this game. I thought about the Velasquez thing, and if you want a one-off winker at 4,600, I mean, he's having a phenomenal season. You mentioned already, Velasquez is more prone to giving up hits to lefties. He's really the only good one in their lineup since Joey Votto's on the IL, Adam Dunn retired a few years ago, and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, he's fine. I don't think that the Philly stack or the red stack is like crazy. Yeah, Naquin actually looks good too. Nice fill-in.
Yeah, he's very affordable, right?
Yeah, very much so. And then I don't mind a couple Philly pieces either against Miley. Neither team I'm trying to like full stack, but if I can get to Real Muto, I mean, I think he's right up there as the top catcher on the slate.
Agreed. I can't because I can't prioritize his salary knowing I only got $37.50 per offensive guy, but no arguments with that.
Yeah, I mean, he crushes lefties. I mean, but again, not a stack I'm like dying to. He's been hitting like 3rd or 4th for the Reds.
I was just going to say, I'm more likely to get to Stevenson simply because he's $2,000 less and hitting in the middle of the order. Really, Miltu's better. I like the matchup for him equally, if not more. But I also like the 2K that this affords me.
Yeah, I think that since he makes a lot of sense here when you're spending up on 2 pitchers like this. And I love Milwaukee today. Like, man.
All right, so Milwaukee's coming in hot specifically from a pitching and just winning perspective. Their offense had some nice moments on Saturday night as well. They're more expensive than they have been, but they're still very affordable.
I was expecting to look at like ownership and stuff and see Milwaukee chalk against Alexander. Then I saw that their prices were up a little bit, and I was like, maybe not. Like, I don't know. The whole outfield, I love the outfield. Avisel Garcia's red hot. Yelich, Kane. I mean, yeah, Willie Adames. I love this. This is my favorite stack on the board.
And just a note, when you're evaluating Milwaukee today, This kid Alexander is a lefty, but like he's not much of a leash guy. It's a bullpen day. So don't like overreact to him being a left-hander and only play the righties. Like you can just play whoever you want today, in my opinion.
Yelich, all of them. I like all of them.
I don't even know what the starting lineup is going to be. Like I doubt there's a distinct possibility JBJ's in there today just because I don't think he started yesterday. Oh yeah, he did. Never mind.
Bad.
Yeah, he's 2,700. That's the best argument for him.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if he makes the lineup, I'm interested because he's going to be in the lineup. But yeah, I like that their prices are up a little bit. They're still not too expensive in my eyes. People just don't want to prioritize their price tags. I think they're in a great spot against Detroit here.
Wong has been swinging a nice bat the last couple of days. Like, yeah, he only had 3 points yesterday. He faced Max Scherzer.
Yeah, I love
great pitcher's duel yesterday. Max Scherzer made one mistake, gave up 2 runs. Outside of that, the current front runner for NL Cy Young in my mind is Brandon Woodruff. He was awesome. Max Scherzer was awesome. Also, like I messaged you about this. Like this was just unfair to the hitters in that game yesterday. The ump was calling balls on the regular a foot outside the zone. When you got Woodruff versus Scherzer, that's just unfair to every hitter in the world.
Yeah, I didn't see that message for like many hours later. I don't know why. But I watched a lot of that game as well. And yeah, both those guys were, I mean, Woodruff even more so than Scherzer was dominant. I mean, Woodruff was dominant.
He's awesome. Woodruff may not have, his stuff may not be quite as good as Burns, but at this point, he's a better, more consistent pitcher, in my opinion.
He's a better pitcher than Burns right now. Burns has like more elite stuff. I could also see like Burns being like, the peak of Burns' career is better than Woodruff, but it only lasts for like a year. And Woodruff is like a number 1 for 10 years. You know what I mean?
Woodruff is a horse, and he's got that it factor to him, too.
Like, I don't know about Burns yet. I know he has elite stuff. I'm not saying he doesn't. He's got top 3 stuff in baseball. But I don't know that, he's been hurt a lot. And he always hasn't been this good in the major league level. So maybe he's put it together. Maybe, he's in a really hot stretch. I trust Woodruff more.
Yeah, if there was game 1 of a playoff series right now and I was Craig Counsell, I would start Brandon Woodruff game 1. It wouldn't even be close to me.
Even like today, if it were Woodruff and Burns at the same price in DFS, like I like Woodruff more than Burns, even from a DFS perspective, knowing that Burns has slightly higher upside. I just trust Woodruff more. Watching him pitch, like I know, like I don't get the warm and fuzzies with Burns personally.
No, I'm not going to argue in that because I agree with all of it. So, okay, I'm on board with Milwaukee. I don't like them quite as much as you do, but I'm on board with them. Let's get to this next game, Chicago against San Diego. We mentioned early on weather is not a major issue. The one thing to point out is we know Chicago, Wrigley Field, can play like 2 different stadiums. Today it's in the 70s with the wind gently blowing out. That doesn't mean like you have to stack it, but it's advantage hitting versus advantage pitching. And why I'm interested is we got Paddock, who, again, Paddock has been a lot better lately. So, not that I'm trying to use them, but I'm hesitant on Cubs bats to the point that I probably don't get them as one of my favorite stacks. But we got Cole Stewart going for the Cubs today against a San Diego Padres team that's pretty good. And outside of Tatis is very affordable. Tommy Pham's only $4K. Profire's $3,900. The red hot Will Myers is $3,200.
Yeah, you're right. They are getting love. They're coming in, behind Minnesota. I think, yeah, you're right. I think they get actually more love than that.
Yeah, and if you think they're overwhelming chalk, and this could shift in the next 2.5 hours before a lot comes.
You're right. I think them and the Twins, but I think you're right. I think that they come in very, very popular. They're very affordable. Yeah, Cronenworth won't be popular because he's 4,700, but like other pieces will be. I'm sure Tatis will get love because he's amazing.
Yeah, the only thing with Tatis is the salary, right? Is the only reason he may not make my lineup is because he's so expensive. And if I can, I'm going to go out of the way to prioritize it. He's amazing.
I do think that he's like by far the highest owned big money player.
Oh, no arguments here.
Like
I tend to agree with that.
Him and you mentioned Sano; those 2 are projected to be the highest owned hitters.
Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but Tatis is better than Sano.
Just a little bit. Yeah, I have imagined Tatis is going to be chalky here because you can afford one hitter almost always. I mean, always. And you mentioned the spot they're in. It's hard to get away from him here.
Will Myers will probably be crazy popular, too, at that price tag.
Agreed. Agree with that.
All right, next up, Cleveland against Chicago. Rodon against McKenzie. What about your White Sox against a McKenzie guy that you're not a very big fan of?
So this is interesting. This is another one. This is a 7-inning game, Okay, so
Oh yeah, that's right.
but I'll say this,
Which is another reason to like Rodon too, right?
yeah, the White Sox, like these 7-inning games, get absolute like even the White Sox against Matt Murphy the other day. It was a 7-inning game. Abreu, and I think it was a day slate, so it wasn't. It was like I don't even know how many games. He was 4% owned, so I get it. Like you're taking a big risk with a 7-inning game, but on the road here, like I think you can make the argument for them. I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, they're my favorite stack on the board. I love them. I'm going to use them, but I think you can make a realistic argument for them.
Okay. I'll never like it as much as you do. We've had this conversation many times, but I absolutely understand the point to your argument. All right, Cueto against Bundy in this game. You know, we kind of touched on San Francisco earlier. You know, Cueto is having a solid season. I don't know about you. Like, the Angels aren't a team I'm trying to get to, really.
Probably not. Like, you know, the Ohtani, Walsh, Rendon threesome I could see, but I'm interested to see if Ohtani's in the lineup today. And if he's not, like, I think you can make a case for Cueto.
Bad traffic in San Francisco again. That joke will never get old to me.
No DH.
Oh, good point. All right. Going back to San Francisco, though, if you tell me they're not getting any love, I mean, I'm interested. We've watched Dylan Bundy get roughed up a lot throughout his career, and then he was really good last year. We changed our opinions on him. We all probably slightly overreact, me probably leading the charge on that one. And now he's struggling right here. If you tell me the Giants are unowned, I'm really, really interested. As much as I like San Diego, if they're overwhelming chalk, it's tough to win tournaments that way. You know, you got a San Francisco team right here. If they're getting no love, I am interested.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I have no arguments with that. Yeah, they might have a really cheap leadoff hitter, Lamont Wade.
Even if you just use him, right? Like, this will help you build your lineup.
Yeah, I mean, he runs a little bit. Like, I thought he was 2K like a couple days ago, so I didn't know he got that price jump, but still under 3K. I'm with you. Even like the good guys, Yastrzemski's not that pricey. Dickerson.
Yeah, Yaz has not had a great season, but he is showing signs of getting it going right now. We're talking about a multi-hit game the other day with 2 doubles, 4 walks over the past 3 games.
I'll say this. I'm worried. Like, part of me thinks that Bundy is, going to turn it around at some point and potentially today have a good start. However, on the flip side, like, I think the Giants have one of the highest upsides on the whole slate, assuming he's off.
The thing that you mentioned that really got me my interest even more peaked on them, and we've watched this. Me and you have been watching baseball now for a combined like 70 years. So like we've seen these things happen before. You tell me velocity's down, I'm very suspect something's wrong with him.
Yeah, I mean, he looked awful in that Oakland start. Like I watched, like after the first couple innings where he got the first 2 innings were like a breeze, and then like, I mean, it was like BP.
Well, like you said, we've been watching this for a long time. Like, when location's off, that can be fixed really easily. But if you're telling me for multiple starts in a row, velocity's down, there's an underlying issue. And oftentimes it is like, you're not injured, but you're hurt. And if we go back to the movie Program, you can pitch hurt, but you can't pitch nearly as effectively.
Yeah, and I don't know that's the case, but it's definitely a worry. And I'm with you. I think that San Fran's in play. No doubt.
Okay. All right, next up, let's move over to a couple of good baseball teams in the Boston Red Sox and the Houston Astros. We got Urquidy taking on Erod today. Look, man, I ain't trying to use pitchers against either of these teams. I don't love the bats today. I can understand arguments for them. You know, we got JD and Alvarez both day-to-day. We don't know if they're going to be in the lineup. We got Brantley on the IL. I could get on board with a Kyle Tucker who hits lefties, has high upside, and as we've mentioned throughout the years, Erod has had some reverse splits in his lifetime.
I love Tucker here. He's one of my favorite one-offs on the slate. So, yeah, all about that. And I think that as a whole, I like the Boston offense more than the Astros because, I think Erod's better than Urquidy. I do think Boston, like, they are in play, like, for me. I mean, they're good. I don't think they get a lot of love here. And like you said, I mean, Boston, of all these teams on the entire slate, I mean, might have the best offense.
Yeah, like it was solid offense, no doubt about it. Takes a hit if Martinez doesn't make the lineup, but
Oh, big hit! I didn't even know that.
Yeah, him and Alvarez are both day to day, so you just have to watch for your starting lineups.
Both of those guys are really cheap too.
Yeah, I mean Alvarez is dirt cheap, and It's hard to say a guy's cheap at 5,300, but when you compare him to Tampa Bay prices, he's basically 2K.
Yeah, exactly. I'll say this: if Alvarez plays, I love him as a GPP pivot off of Stanton.
Yeah, way lower price. And again, we love Stanton, but Stanton's streaky, and he's got 6Ks his first 2 games back. He doesn't look like he's in one of his hot streaks.
No, he does not. And then this game, man, especially from the Oakland side, like, why not the Oakland stack?
I don't know. I'm going to throw something in your face only because it's something you would say to me. You really liked Gilbert his first couple starts, and he struggled a little bit, but he showed a little bit in the positive, just a little bit. I'm only going to say just a little bit because he wasn't great. But if you liked him so much early on because he's supposed to be really, really good, why do you want to stack against him? Just because he struggled his first couple starts?
Yeah, because he hasn't been really good is the only reason. But I agree. That is something that I would say. And the thing is, it's not like I had seen this kid pitch a ton before. Okay. I mean, like, I had heard really good things. Doesn't look like it's coming to fruition yet. And I think at this point right now, Oakland is better than him. Got Seattle during the day. Like, I'll also say this. Even though how good he's pitched, I think Seattle's in play against Caprillion for many of the same reasons.
Well, so we go over to this Caprillion guy. And again, neither of us can pretend like we're experts on him. We're not out scouting the minor leagues or anything like that. But you mentioned like he wasn't supposed to be some sort of stud pitcher at the major league level, but he's pitched like a stud through his first 3 starts. Okay, what does that mean? Does that mean he's going to be awesome again today? No, it doesn't. Seattle just saw him. And again, he was fantastic last time out. But they just saw him. Seattle's not a good baseball team, so there are a lot of days that they're going to be terrible, but they could be better today. Kyle Lewis has started to heat up recently. He's been looking pretty good. He's very, very affordable. You got your boy Klinick.
Seager had a good game yesterday. Ty France is seeing the ball well. Like, I'll say this. This is a fun slate. There's a lot of places to go for a day slate, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, I love San Diego, but if they're overwhelming chalk, maybe I do something I haven't done in a while. I'm going to play a cash game.
Or maybe, like, it's one of those things where, they'll get love, but there won't be overwhelming chalk because other people like other spots. There's Milwaukee and San Francisco and Houston and Boston and Oakland and Minnesota. Yeah, I don't know. Cincinnati, we talked about. Like, maybe it's just the type of thing where ownership doesn't matter all that much.
Yeah, well, I could stack San Diego, but I could complement him with San Fran instead of Minnesota.
Right. Exactly. Amen.
Like, if you're telling me Miguel Sano is overwhelming chalk, Fade City. You could throw legit any male human being out there that can throw the ball 60 feet, 6 inches, and Sano could strike out 3 times.
Yes, this is very, very true.
I watched Miguel Sano strike out when he was trying to hit off a batting tee.
One other one that we didn't talk about at all. Like, I'm not necessarily buying what Chris Paddock sold last time out. What about some Cubs in the same weather?
So it's an interesting one because
I'll say this. I don't think you'll like the Cubs, but Paddock does not deserve the treatment where we just like skip by the opposing offense. Do you agree?
No, I mean, I'll go by what we said about him when we went around the first time. Like, he's been pitching better. I'm more likely to get to the Cubs bats than I am to him, but I'm not specifically picking out the Cubs as one of my short lists today. And it's not just that, like, the recent years. Like, this guy was good a couple years ago. I think we're starting to see signs. Only gave up 8 hits over his last 3 starts. He hasn't been walking a ton of guys. I could one-off a Cubber here or there, but I'm probably not going to full stack him because I expect Paddock to reemerge as a solid pitcher, not like an elite ace or anything like that, but as a solid pitcher.
A big thing for me is like Paddock's not going to get any love here, so there's no leverage in going to the Cubs either.
Yeah, I mean,
which doesn't make me not want to use them, but doesn't make me want to use them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you want to, well, they got some power bats, as we mention all the time. So, like, if you want to go, never mind. They are Buco bucks. Bryant, 5,900. Jocks, 5,700. Baez, 51. They're going to be tough to get to.
Yeah, very tough to get to.
Rizzo's day-to-day. Sandy Alcantara is not playing second base for him. Oh, that's Sergio. So, they're going to be tough to get to at these prices.
Yeah, very, very tough to get to.
You got like Sogard at 3,600. The problem is he's terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Only in a stack, full stack.
Yeah, I agree.
Milwaukee, man. Like, I'm just all about Milwaukee.
You know, the other thing to note for a couple of these teams that really like Milwaukee, you know, it's decently warm out around here right now. Nice hitter park, right?
The thing that has me a little worried about Milwaukee is what you mentioned about like the bull, like they could pinch hit guys.
They could. So take that into account when you look at their starters. There are certain guys that might get pinch hit for. I think Willie Adames, who's been really good for Milwaukee, I'm starting to like this trade more and more. He seems to. They are now 6-2 in games he's started. Doesn't mean that is. What's that?
He's not getting pinch hit for.
Yeah, exactly. Like I trust him. If he's starting, he's out there. Christian Yelich and Jackie Bradley Jr. is lefties in the outfield with a lefty starting. If they're starting, they're in there. Especially Yelich, who again I've watched hit into some bad luck again recently. He ran the other day. Like he's no guarantee to make the lineup today because he played yesterday. But one of these days, you got to let him start multiple days in a row.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I hope he makes it today.
You know, he's not what he was a couple of years ago, but
I used him in that first game of the doubleheader, and he had 16. He was really good.
Yeah, nice little triple down the right field line. You know what?
Cruised into third on that triple.
What's that?
He cruised into third on that triple.
It wasn't like the hardest hit triple of all time, but when I saw that, I remember being in like a couple of different batting slumps, like in high school baseball and stuff like that. And there's something about one of those like ground balls that finds a hole down the line that maybe it's not the hardest hit triple of your lifetime, but it feels really, really good to kind of get like a monkey off your back. You start playing more free and loose. No shame in having a bad day yesterday, guys. He was facing Max Scherzer.
And I actually liked him yesterday because he has owned Max Scherzer.
Yeah. But in any given day, we're not surprised if you don't succeed against Max Scherzer.
When I say owned, he's like, what, 11 of 28. So that means, majority of the time Scherzer's gotten him out.
Yeah. We love Max, so we're never surprised when Max shuts down anybody. Max was great yesterday, minus one pitch to Avi.
Yeah, he was very, very good for sure.
Because he is very, very good. We are the biggest proponents of Max Scherzer probably out there.
Yeah, love him. Love him, love him, love him.
So, anyways, you got to get to writing, young man. We wish you all best of luck today, and we'll talk to you about some NBA here in a little bit too.
Thanks, guys.